Okay, so obviously I record these teachings outside, and therefore I am dependent on the cooperation of neighbors and nature and air conditioning units. So I just want to throw out a warning. There's a lot going on right now. Stay focused. Don't be distracted. I'm going to try really hard not to be distracted. It's just me and you. So, I'm teaching through the history of the Tower of Babel. It's recorded in Genesis chapter 11, verses 1 through 9. So if you have a second, you can pause me, open up your Bible app, and read through those 9 verses really quickly. Or you can grab your Bible, find those verses, and follow along. We're going to be picking up in verse 5 today. I taught on verses 3 and 4 a few days ago, and you can find that teaching saved in my highlights. So, we are reminded in verse 5 that the Lord knows the heart of man, and he will not be mocked. It says in verse 5, the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. The Lord came down. That language is so weird, but it's a play on the people's small and weak understanding of who God is, all right? It reminds me of God's conversation with Adam in the Garden of Eden when he, after his disobedience, God knew exactly where Adam was when he called out, "Where are you?" And his follow-up question in verse 11, "Who told you that you were naked?" See, God didn't ask these questions to gain knowledge. He is all-knowing. God asked these questions of Adam, and he makes his presence known to the people building this tower so that they're prompted to look inward at their own thoughts and actions. Moving on to verse 6, the Lord said, "Behold, they are one people, and they all have the same language. And this is what they began to do. And now nothing which they purpose to do will be impossible for them." God observes the potential dangers that the people are opening themselves up to with this act of disobedience. See, there's power in unity, and these people are unified in direct opposition to God. And at this point, the people have abandoned God's command to inhabit the earth. And if they continue down this path, much of the earth will be left uninhabited. See, as this idea for a tower is born and the people start moving towards that goal, you can tell they can only see what's right in front of them. We read in verse 2 that they found a plain in the land of Shinar. As far as they know, that's all there is. Looking back at this story, we can see that the people had a limited view of their reality, and they based their decisions solely on what they could see and their very limited understanding, even though God was calling them to something greater. I look back to these people as they build the Tower of Babel, and they're so caught up in the day-to-day and so focused on what they see right in front of them. If only they could see what was all around them. If only they could see what God had in store for them and for their children. No way would they be settling for a city and a tower. I have to wonder when I have this thought if God has ever looked at me through the same lens. Yes, I'm caught up in the details so many times of just what's right in front of my eyes. Isn't it crazy to see this same tension in our lives lived out in a civilization over 4,000 years ago? They didn't know what was beyond the plain of the land of Shinar, but they knew they were called to it. See, the sin doesn't lie in the fact that I'm not God and I can't see the bigger picture. The sin is putting my faith in what I can see and what I can build for myself, and not putting my faith and my hope and trust in God who sees everything. I'm not called to know everything. I'm called to walk in obedience and trust God with what I don't know. So today, maybe you're at a fork in the road, and maybe there's some anxiety of the unknown. Maybe you're caught up in the details of all of that. Maybe you're overwhelmed and it feels like the walls of your life are just caving in on you. Or maybe today there isn't a crazy situation going on in the background, but you're caught up in the hustle of life and you can't remember the last time that you tuned your ear to hear the voice of God. The temptation is to put our trust in what we can see and live as if that's all there is. But we're called to fix our eyes on God and remember who He is and worship Him through obedience and love. I want to encourage you today, whatever you're facing, press into God, seek His will for your life, and pursue obedience in every way.